major news in the social media world, and it's the kind of changes that could be made if all companies get on board that could be life-changing for young people, even life-saving.
Yeah, this is the hope that this is the start of something. As you know, as I know, as John knows, this is the issue of the time for parents, and it is the front page story in papers across the country, Mika, that Meta is backing down now in a multi-state lawsuit claiming it built addictive platforms that are dangerous for children. The company has agreed to pay billions in penalties, a fraction, yes, of the company's total valuation, and it does not have to admit wrongdoing. Meta did make some important concessions to its products. MS Now's Nick McCool has details.
I'm pleased to announce that Meta has reached an agreement.
This morning, a landmark settlement. Meta agreeing to pay up to $17 billion to settle their case against dozens of states over claims it built products that are addictive and harmful to kids, then misled the public about them.
The framework we've negotiated will empower parents to easily manage their children's access to our platforms.
The parent company of Facebook and Instagram also agreeing to a series of protections for users under 18, including daily time and nighttime limits, muted notifications during school hours, and hiding like counts on posts.
In one sense, those are really impressive stipulations, but in another sense, if you look under the hood, a lot of them, I'm a little bit worried, are going to be pretty easy to work around.
Meta says nearly a third of the settlement, roughly $5 billion, will be withheld unless other social media companies also pay penalties and change their apps.
This framework will only work if all our peers join us. Because teens move fluidly across dozens of apps, we need an industry-wide solution.
Is this social media's big tobacco moment?
For sure.
New Jersey Attorney General Jennifer Davenport was one of the lead AGs on the case. She says the fight for accountability will not stop with Meta.
Anytime profits are put over the safety of our kids, we're going to act.
Critics of the deal say Meta settled for far less than the hundreds of billions the states were seeking. But Davenport says the agreement secures vital protections much sooner than a verdict would. Meta, meanwhile, gets to end a proceeding that featured potentially damaging testimony before CEO Mark Zuckerberg was expected to take the stand.
They got a pretty reasonable settlement here, but they really got dragged through the dirt in the court of public opinion. I think a lot of people have pretty negative views of Meta right now.
While this deal ends the Attorney's General case against Meta, thousands of others press on against the company and its industry peers. Despite the massive settlement, for parents like Victoria Hinks, who blame social media for her daughter's suicide.
No amount of money is ever going to bring my beautiful daughter back. I miss her every day.
Both sides say Meta will be independently audited for compliance under the terms of the agreement. Meta's stock was up about 1% yesterday following news of the deal after taking a major hit around the start of the trial.
Was it money? Was it terms? Something else? All the above?
Yeah, all of the above. Look, this was not a good deal for the states, and that's why Florida wasn't a part of it. We are not going to sell out when it comes to child safety. We're not going to capitulate. It might look like a big number, but this is $1.5 trillion company. This is a rounding error that should not get them off scot-free for over a decade of harms to our kids. And look, New Mexico, a jury handed out a $1 billion verdict. Florida's more than 10 times the size of New Mexico, so we're not going to settle for pennies on the dollar. And the programmatic changes, they're good. They're a step in the right direction, but a lot of them are temporary, only good for 5 years. We do not believe they go far enough.
Yeah, I want to get outside the money in a second, but this is CNBC, so kind of we'll start there. Up to $17 billion, payable over 10 years, so $1.7 billion a year. It's a $200 billion revenue per year company. Meta does $200 billion a year in revenue. Have you done the math, because I guess this show's all about math, Mr. Attorney General, on how much Florida would receive if you did agree to this current settlement?
Well, looking at the amounts received by other states, it looks like we would get less than that verdict that New Mexico received. And that's just not acceptable. We've got a great case, a lot of evidence showing the harms to kids, suicides, self-harm, mental injuries, many injuries. States around the country are seeing juries that seem favorable here. They were looking at trillions in liability. So we're not going to settle. We'll go to court. We like to fight for our kids in Florida. We're not going to bend over and capitulate.
Thank God for the Attorney General in the free state of Florida. This settlement's a joke. Mark Zuckerberg's a criminal, and Facebook Meta is a criminal apparatus. The testimony here would have been brutal, and criminal charges ought to be brought. This settlement is a joke. Sean Davis joins me. Sean, all the testimony that was going to come, they knew what they were doing for years and years and years, and they won't stop until you break them and bring criminal charges. In addition, this settlement is kind of like some sort of like curfew. All the stuff's on the parents and the kids. It's not back to the algorithm. It's not back to the core issues of how we got here and the destruction of families and children, suicides, depression, antisocial behavior, all of it. This is an outrage. And I'm so glad that the Attorney General of the state of Florida, they were up for trillions of dollars of potential liability. You put them in front of a jury. The juries are always going to come when the evidence is presented. Juries are going to come on the side of people that have to hold these monsters accountable. Your thoughts, Sean Davis, founder and publisher of The Federalist, sir.
Yeah, when I saw the details yesterday about it, I had the same reaction. I thought this is a joke. The company just last year had $200 billion in revenue. So you're looking at a $17 billion settlement over 10 years. You're looking at maybe $1.5 billion a year spread across 47 different states plus DC and Puerto Rico. I think it's a total joke. And it's not just that Facebook preys on children and tries to get them addicted and gets them to do awful things on their platform. Look at what Facebook has done in the past to the not just kids, but to the nation. They were a part of the global censorship industrial complex pushed by Biden. They went after my company. They tried to destroy us with ridiculous censorship. They were pushing nonsensical COVID junk science. And then there was Mark Zuckerberg in Facebook giving who knows how much to BLM. But then you had Mark Zuckerberg getting personally involved in helping to rig the 2020 election. Who knows how much money he spent on that? And we're going to look at this and see a company that has objectively made the country worse and say, we're going to let you off by giving less than 1% of your revenue a year to a handful of states. It makes me think the suit from the beginning was a joke, that they never had any intention of doing anything. They saw an opportunity to do what happened with the tobacco companies, which was, oh, let's just get a little extra money for ourselves. We actually don't care about the problem. We'll give some class action lawyers $6 billion to put in their pockets, and then we'll give pennies in our state and call it a day. It's a total joke. We actually had the opportunity to make Facebook do something real. They didn't even have to admit that they did anything wrong here. So the thing's a joke, and thank goodness for Florida being, I guess, one of 50 states that's actually knows what time it is.
We have to use Florida, but also folks out there, you should be blowing up your AGs right now. It's also contingent about YouTube and TikTok agreeing, but you should be calling your state AGs right now and saying, absolutely no way do you want to support this. We had, first off, in a courtroom, we should go through and present all of their criminal activities. Don't you agree, Sean? Let's just get the facts out in a court of law and see what monsters they are and how they've known about this for years and went out of their way to kind of hide it as they preyed upon kids, sir.
Well, yeah, and just last week I read an article, I don't remember if it was in CNBC or not, that Wall Street was estimating something like 1 to 2 trillion losses for Facebook potentially in litigation risk. So you might have been able to take 1 to 2 trillion off of Facebook. Its key executives hadn't even been deposed yet. Why on earth are you settling this early? You hadn't even done the early type of pain to the company that you can do that they were desperate to avoid. It's clear that Mark Zuckerberg did not want to be deposed on this, certainly not by 47 different AGs. So why on earth do you go and do your settlement before you've done the first couple stages of pain? It makes no sense to me. Like, I just do not understand the strategy here, unless the whole thing was fake from the beginning and they just wanted to get a quick payout for their states, pretend like they did something good, and then move on to doing nothing on something else.
We had these rats cornered. We could have broken them up, with Instagram, all that back last spring. Somehow they slipped out of that. Here they had them again. These people are criminals. It's a criminal apparatus, a criminal organization, pure evil. We make sure, go to Bill Blaster right now. It's got the number for the Florida AG. Give him a call, send him a text, an email, and say, "Attaboy, we got your back. Continue to press on." This thing is far from over, and we got to rip this. We got to rip this settlement up and get back in there. And mourning Mika in the crowd, with the knitted brows. Oh yeah, this is the start of something big. That's all crap. Okay, I don't know if Meta's come to you and said, "Hey, we're going to sponsor the show," but it's all crap. Everything you said today was total BS. Sean, where do people go? The Federalist and the great fight that you guys are putting up on all these topics every day. You guys have another slew of just great, very, very well thought through pieces that people ought to make as part of their morning media diet, sir.
Well, I agree with you. Thank you for that. They can find us at thefederalist.com. They can find me on X at Sean M. DAV. And the more they read, the better it is for us.
Thank you, brother. Great job. Great work. We're going to try to get Mike Davis tomorrow. Hopefully, maybe Rachel Bovard, everybody. All the people have been fighting this thing for years. I got Peter Navarro. Do I have time to play his? No, I don't have Peter Navarro. No time. Let's just go to Peter Navarro. Peter, we're going to have after the break. We're going to play a clip on Canada. What do you got for us? So tell us about this. The Canadians are calling us everything the book. They say you're going to back down. I say that Canada's run by a bunch of thugs. People don't know that about how outside the norms of actual economic operations these guys perform. We're not going to back down on this, right? We're going to take this to the bitter end and bring Canada to heel, sir?
Canada's been cheating us since 1987, and aside from the time that the Trump administration was the negotiators, they out-negotiated every team going back to 87, going through when NAFTA was signed. And it's something people need to understand. It's like, we love Canada. We love the Canadian people. There's a charm about the whole country and them. But their government and their trade negotiators are, you can use the word gangsters. I'll just say that they're just one big mound of steaming hot bad faith, right? Yeah, I actually have more experience negotiating with the Canadians than anybody in the administration, because back in 2016, when Steve Bannon helped President Trump win that election, the very next day, Wilbur Ross and I were tasked with negotiating the NAFTA reboot, which would become USMCA. Krista Freya, they were just like the most dishonest, backstabbing people I have ever seen. The first thing Wilbur and I did was we went to a secret meeting with the ambassador to start talking about this. And like literally on the way home, the Canadians had broke the news in a way which was favorable to them. So here's the thing, America. They cheat us. They cheat us on lumber. They cheat us on dairy. They cheat us on autos. They cheat us on aluminum. They cheat us on steel. They cheat us any which way they can. And they not only cheat us, Steve, but they give better treatment to the Japanese, the Koreans, and the Germans. And wait for it, Stephen K. Bannon, the Chinese. They are effectively a Chinese colony right now, used as a launch pad to transship and come in. So we'll be right back with the Admiral. Be sure and go to Why Fauci Must Rot in Prison over the break. Buy that book, baby. We'll talk about it. There's a QR code, too.
Your co-hosting muscles, a full flex right there. Okay, we're going to come back and ask what the objectives are. We know we're cheating them. We know they're cheating us. We see what President Trump's put up as a punching bag. What are we looking to? Because the mainstream media, the business media, is melting down about tariffs and T-ban. President Trump, the tariff ban. Okay, Dolly Parton's going to take us out all the segments today on the morning in commemoration of her passing. Short commercial break. Poso is going to be with us. Measles in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Mike Howell on mass deportations. Peter Navarro next.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Folks, we're going to get back to tech. We're going to get back to Flock and data centers and Meta. We have to have a throwdown with big tech. You can't trust them. Most of them are criminal organizations. This is why they don't want to go into court and turn any of this over. Anyway, make sure you go to get Bill Blaster right now. Grace, if you can start pushing that out again, download it. Contact the Attorney General of the Free State of Florida and say, brother, we got your back on this. Take it to the bitter end because he's standing up. And like I said, Morning Joe, I can't wait to a week from now. Brought to you by, sponsored by Meta. So obvious. Peter Navarro. I'm going to play a clip from C-SPAN the other day, but I want to stick to Canada. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's be blunt. Canada has turned into almost a wholly owned subsidiary of the Chinese Communist Party. Vancouver, the beautiful city, great people. I took my destroyer in there decades and decades ago to support. They had a fleet week, just an amazing sea detail, great people, one of the most beautiful parts of the world. It is big Hong Kong now. Hong Kong itself is little Hong Kong. The CCP has totally infiltrated the Canadian business, Canadian government, Canadian culture. And correct me if I'm wrong, the show that they're a subsidiary, I believe I'm correct on this, that only the CCP and the Canadians are pushing back when President Trump puts these tariffs up. Everybody else works with us because they understand they've been ripping us off for decade after decade after decade. Peter Navarro, your thoughts and observations, sir.
That is exactly right. The only two countries on God's good earth that are retaliating against the United States when we try to get simply fair trade are Communist China and the CCP and Canada. I mean, parse that. You're absolutely right. Vancouver is now big Hong Kong to the little Hong Kong over there. And I, like a couple of weeks ago, when I introduced my great transshipment scam report, and we were talking a lot about that, one of the problems we got right now is that China is using both Mexico and Canada as launch pads for its transship goods, basically bringing stuff over and sneaking it in on the near zero USMCA tariffs. But this dispute, so people understand, this started with 338, Section 338 of the Trade Code, which basically says if one country discriminates against us, then we are allowed to retaliate, reciprocate with tariffs. That's how this whole thing started. And we've got a situation now where alcoholic beverages, if you go into a provincial store around the whole of Canada, you can't buy American liquor, full stop, right? You can buy anything else, French wine, German, whatever. You can't buy American good Kentucky whiskey in there. They've given preferential deals on autos to Germany, Japan, Korea, and China. So that's coming in. And of course, you got the dairy issue. I mean, triple-digit tariffs forever. So President Trump and Jamieson Greer put in these tariffs, gave them plenty of time, gave them more than a month to come back with a deal. And Steve, we had a deal with Canada. And frankly, it was so good it made me nervous, okay? It's like, ooh, okay, we're right up to the end. We gave them a good deal, okay? Best deal they're going to get. And then politics took over, Steve. The politics of this are Mark Carney, the prime minister, come from behind victory, picked up more than 20 points in the last week or so when he started bashing Trump, okay? So that's his playbook. And the Canadian people are kind of the useful idiots of that process because they reward that rhetoric. The rhetoric is, "Oh, poor Canada. The U.S. is a bully. They're attacking our sovereignty."
Are we gonna back down? Okay, I got it. But you've got this tough tariff regime right now. Are we going to see this through to its bitter end?
There's no back down. We are very disappointed. Okay, you know that word, Steve? That's the worst word in the president's handbook. It's like they retraded the deal at the end. We gave them a great deal. They retraded it, and they're dumping all over us. Laurel and Hardy. You got Mark Carney and Doug Ford, the guy who took too many hits playing hockey.
When the president says, "I'm very disappointed," stand by for heavy rolls. That means we're going to general quarters. Hang on for a second.
You're going to be a headline.
Hang on. I want to play some clips. You had a magnificent turn on C-SPAN the other day. Let me play this clip about President Trump and the selling of the economic program. It has been announced, as we have advocated for a long time. The left has made this all about President Trump. President Trump's got to put himself on the ballot. He's announced now, it's been leaked out of the White House, that he's going to do that for the midterm elections to make sure we get the lower propensity voters of the Trump coalition to the polls. Let's go and play Navarro on C-SPAN.
Steve in Republican Tampa, Florida. Steve, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Navarro, I'm a Republican, and I'm dismayed that the Republicans haven't done a good enough job in explaining to the Democrats and the independents some of the positive things that the Trump administration has accomplished. They are not aware of the $6,000 credit against your net income if you're on Social Security to replace the 6.2 tax that was there. They're not aware of the $1,000 that's given to children to help them grow their future. They're not aware of the change in the most favored nation pharmaceutical rates, where we're now paying the lowest rates on pharmaceuticals, where we were paying the highest rates. And they're not aware of the tax savings that was done by the big, beautiful bill. I hope that you can share that with the president and have him get more Republican strategists out there, especially the young women out there, to explain this to the people that are not aware of it. My family are all Democrats. They were not aware of it.
Let me jump in here. Peter, that is a cry for help for a Trump supporter. Yeah. Your response, sir?
Well, my response to him was to promise to take that clip in my answer to the boss, and that's going to be done today. My team's packaging that up. I talk about the daily messaging of the White House in terms of a song. Every song has like a melody and a bass line. And you know how the news cycle works. It's like something breaks, whether it's Iran or we have Dolly Parton, deceased, God love her. These things take over the news cycle, but the baseline.
I know that's all news. Okay,
but
the baseline
is what it's the economic messaging that we got to do.
Hang on,
and that's kind of what I do. Go ahead.
If Parker and the team down in West Palm Beach can write this down in number 2 pencil and slip this to Dr. Navarro the hit, wash, rinse, repeat. We have a tremendous economic message when you get in back of it, particularly for younger generation, because everything President Trump is doing is converging to force massive capital investment in manufacturing, to return us to be a manufacturing hegemon, to make sure they're high value added jobs for this younger generation. We ought to be banged. That ought to be the mantra, and we ought to be hitting it every day. Besides you, I don't see it being hit. So when are we going to have a whole of government approach to this to make sure people, I mean, the guy was sitting there, he was just talking about a few of the things. There's so much even deeper than that. He was talking about kind of the goodies that you've given.
Question. And I wish you would let me answer that on the C-SPAN clip. Maybe before this is over, you'll let me do it. But look, here's the thing. What I tried to explain to this guy is that we have a situation where with the big, beautiful bill and the tariffs, we're drawing in a tremendous amount of investment, which is sparking a construction boom, which is now sparking a manufacturing factory and jobs boom, which is now sparking real wages going up. We have all of that going. It's beautiful Trumpnomics. We have an inflation system where the core rate is trending nicely down. And as yet, the supply shocks are not bleeding into the core. So looking good. We attack each of the components of inflation one by one. It's macro, but we attack it on a micro level. For example, the border policy of the President of the United States, like just cutting everything off and deporting people out, what does that do? That lessens pressure on the housing price and rental market. And so we're seeing significant drops in both housing prices and rents because of that. So that's helping there. If you look across a lot of the food products, like one by one, things like eggs and things like that, we've attacked those individual. We've got stubborn problems with meat, for example, but I'm personally leading a charge to attack that four-firm cartel, half of which is Brazilian in bed with the Chinese, driving up our beef prices. And the drug, the most favored nation on the drugs, that's a beautiful thing. So yes, Steve, we have to talk about it every day, and that means trying to punch through the news cycle, which is the legacy media does not want us to do.
Well, you're a great puncher. Hang on for a second. I'm jammed. Posto's here about the measles situation. Shapiro maybe misrepresenting what's going on in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Make America Healthy Again. Mike Howell's here on mass deportations. We're jammed. Tina Peters, Cleta Mitchell, Eric Metaxas. Take your phone and text Bannon, Bannon, 989898. Get the ultimate guide for investing in gold and precious metals in the age, not the era of Trump, the age of Trump. Plus, you get access to Philip Pascher's team. Philip's going to be here in the second hour. Dr. Peter Navarro. Fauci must rot in prison. Next in the War Room.
Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Peter, I want to bifurcate this hit. So where do people go for all your content, all these videos you're putting up? You're putting up great stuff on tariffs, on trade, on you being the czar of manufacturing, all that. Where do people go for that? Because I think we need to become force multipliers, and we need to see you out there more. So where do they go for that?
So peternavarro.com, that'll take you as the gateway to the Substack, X, Truth, Getter, Instagram. And look, I try to put this in with articles and things like Real Clear Markets and the Washington Times, The Hill, elsewhere. Get all that. Then the videos, the 60-second videos, which kind of are distill the news of the macro day in that. And look, we have to get this message out. It's kitchen table, bread and butter issues, Steve, that drive elections, okay? And that's what everybody needs to be talking about and learning about.
Okay, brother.
Because we're doing great.
Brother,
it's just not punching through.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. You give us the ammo, we'll weaponize and get it out there. So, okay, hang on. So, because I'm jammed for time, pivot.
Yeah.
The book is on fire. Why Fauci must rot in prison. Thousands of copies are sold already. But this is going to be a New York Times bestseller. Where do people go to get this, and why should they get it right now? Isn't Fauci old news?
So first of all, aim your camera at the QR code, and you'll go right to Amazon. Buy this now. Get a bunch for your friends. This is new news, okay? Because we got his 1,100-page diary. This book is my prosecution of Fauci. I show the way to put that guy behind bars for all manner of crimes that he commits. And it's a tale of two dueling diaries, because I had my own diary of the pandemic. People, please understand, there was one guy in the West Wing fighting Fauci the whole time besides the president. I fought him on the China travel ban. I fought him on the lockdowns, the masks, the vaccines, the boosters, everything. And that SOB, I was honored. I'm 60 times I'm in his private diary. And a punchline here is that What he said in his diary was not what he was telling us about all sorts of things, whether it was not warning women about possible miscarriage from the vaccine or young men about myocarditis. We need to put him in prison, Steve. This book does it. Sell it, brother.
We're going to put him. We're going to put him in prison. We're going to put him in prison. That you go through the diary, you make the case, you lay it out there for state AGs, or maybe even Maine Justice. I got to bounce, Peter. One more time. Where do people go to get all your content? Where do they go to get the book, sir?
PeterNavarro.com, gateway to everything. And then go right now, Amazon. Let's drive this. Let's get it out there. Get it to your friends. If this thing becomes a bestseller, it increases the probability that we're going to put this guy behind bars because the case is going to get out. All these people who love this guy and put him on a pedestal, Steve, man, we're smashing that pedestal right beneath him, and he's going down.
Oh, yeah. They're hiding. They're hiding. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Give us the content, your videos. We'll push it out there. Thank you, Dr. Peter Navarro, for coming
Carry on,
to
Admiral,
the
and
Palm
meta,
Beach
brother.
studios of Real America's Voice. We're going to get Meta. We're going to get Zuckerberg. He's on the list. Thank God for the free state of Florida. I got a clip. Speaking of Make America Healthy Again, folks, time to get up on your horses today. Let's go ahead and hear. We're going to hear Shapiro and Poso's got an observation or two. Let's go and play it.
I want to be clear. This illness and death from measles is completely preventable. We already have the tools to protect ourselves and our families from this disease, which is one of the most contagious diseases on the face of the earth. And let's speak truth for a moment. Folks are spreading skepticism about things like the MMR vaccine without any evidence to back up their claims. Part of the reason why I was late is I've been sitting out in the parking lot talking to Secretary Kennedy, who reached out to me this morning. And while I appreciate his willingness to offer staff to assist us, we think we're able to manage this through the Department of Health. I was very, very blunt with him, and I made very clear that his actions and the rhetoric that's coming from this administration are having a negative impact on communities across America, particularly right here in Pennsylvania, that there's real life consequences to spreading misinformation.
Okay, Jack Posobiec, Shapiro was the leader in, we're going to make the beautiful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania the center of data centers in the country. He flipped on that, and he flipped hard when he put his finger to the wind and realized the people are not going to tolerate this from the tech oligarchs. What is going on with this measles situation in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, sir?
Well, Steve, of course, this is blown up, and you can see Josh Shapiro there on his tippy toes at the press conference, struggling to hold on to that that podium. He's up there. They should get him a box or some platform shoes like Ron DeSantis or something. I'm not really sure if he can physically maintain his ability to stand straight there.
So cruel.
But Steve,
hold it. Hang on. Let's stick to the facts.
Steve,
let's not.
Sometimes
These ad hominem.
When you have a man who's only 5'3".
Okay, the ad hominem attacks. That's my role. You give me just facts.
I'm just
Make America Healthy Again is outrage.
No, but here's what's going on. Because Shapiro?
Yeah,
Shapiro does not want anyone calling attention to his massive flip flop on data centers. So what the good governor has done now, after last week when he spotted me at UFC Philadelphia and then ran away and didn't watch any of the fights, I sat and had a great time with my father ringside watching all the fights at UFC Philly. I don't know where Josh was. He ran in, took one selfie, and ran away. Interesting. I wanted to say hi. I wanted to give him a pat on the head. And he said that, and you heard him in that press conference there, deaths from measles. And this is what has the Maha contingent absolutely up in arms, because he's saying
hold it, Jack. Hang on. Slow down. There's 2 deaths. He stated, haven't they? The Pennsylvania Department of Health, the guys were such a disaster during COVID. I thought they came out and definitively said there've been 2 deaths of children from measles. Is that not a hard fact, sir?
Well, in fact, Steve, it's not a hard fact. And the county commissioners down there in Lancaster, that's the way it's pronounced, by the way, Lancaster. And I hear all these people saying it wrong because you're not from Pennsylvania. And they said that, no, we have no reported deaths from measles. And even the county medical examiners coming out and said, we have no reported deaths from measles. And when they dug in and found was that, yes, there has been an outbreak, and certainly something that everyone's looking at. That's why Secretary Kennedy called to Pennsylvania to offer whatever resources they possibly could. But also that these were deaths, while regrettable and horrific, that they were not deaths from measles. They were deaths that were attributed to other things. And yes, they were deaths with measles in the sense that the same way we saw during COVID, people will remember this circuitous language play that the communists always use, where they will say that the measles caused it, even though there were other issues. One, for example, it's now come out was, and again, it's very sad and it's very regrettable, but it was an infant with a ruptured spleen. So an infant with a ruptured spleen, which was not caused by measles. Now, Josh Shapiro is trying to use this death of an infant in Lancaster County to try to blame the Trump administration, to try to blame Bobby Kennedy, to try to blame the entire Maha movement, to say you should have got the vaccines. When, by the way, the Amish vaccination rates have always traditionally been low because of Amish culture, because of their beliefs. That's always been something that the Amish have done. That's how they have lived for hundreds of years. So the idea that this is a Bobby Kennedy thing is no. The Bobby Kennedy did not invent the Amish, Mr. Governor.
Look,
and so what he's done is he's lied about the deaths of children. He's lied about this.
You're
to try
calling
to smear the
Shapiro a lot.
administration.
Hang on. I wanted to make sure we got on the. You're saying that Josh Shapiro, the governor of the Commonwealth, is lying about these deaths to stir up all the hate and discontent against Bobby Kennedy, the Maha
This
movement.
isn't even me saying it, because even the far left Philadelphia Inquirer, no fans of mine, certainly no fans of Stephen K. Bannon, has come out and said that the local health examiners in Lancaster County informed the governor's office that these were not deaths from measles before the press conference that you just played. So before the press conference where he's standing up on his tippy toes, his office had already been informed. They said, Mr. Governor, these are not deaths from measles. And yet he's up there telling the entire world that's what it is, blaming Bobby Kennedy, blaming Maha, because he wants to create the appearance that there's this massive measles, killer measles outbreak, and it's all the fault of Maha.
Are you saying that your belief is, Jack Posobiec's belief, is he's taking this hard stand and kind of making this up to try to divert attention for his cratering on his position on data centers, sir?
Well, I would say yes, with the exception of the word stand. It was more of a perch, more of a grip. He's trying to stand up tall, but he's falling short at every instance. But yes, Steve, he's trying to, not only is he trying to take the pressure off of his initial stance on data centers, which are probably the most unpopular thing in America. It's like cancer, then illegal aliens, then data centers are down at the bottom in terms of popularity right now, certainly in politics. And Josh Shapiro wanted to make Pennsylvania, my home state, the Keystone State, the center of data centers in America. Now that blew up in his face. So he's trying to hard pivot, and he's trying to punch in the opposite direction. And it's very disgusting what he's doing, because he's taking the death of a very, very sad and devastating incident where this child, we know one of the deaths was a child. We don't actually have information on the other one, from a ruptured spleen, and claim that it's RFK's fault, and claim that it's Maha's fault, and say that, oh, you didn't get the measles vaccination because Bobby Kennedy said so. And he's up on Twitter now, and they're battling it out. And Bobby Kennedy is, of course, holding his ground, as he always does. And you got Josh Shapiro blaming everything on Maha. And this is what they do, Steve. This is what these far left apparatchiks do when they claim, and he's doing the exact same thing that Fauci did throughout the entire tenure of his COVID dictatorship, where he's saying, I am the science. You have to trust me because I know what the science says, when he's not even being truthful about the facts of the case.
I know you're going to be leading the effort here. Where do people go on your social media? I take it the 2:00 Real America Voice, Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec is going to cover this. Where do people go to get all this today and follow this? Because this is breaking news. They're in a firefight right now between Bobby Kennedy, the great Bobby Kennedy, the Maha movement, and Josh Shapiro, the governor of the Commonwealth. Where do people go for all your coverage of this, Jack?
Well, absolutely, Steve. And you can go to Human Events Daily at 2 p.m. I will tell you that we are in communication already. We've got a line in to the county commissioners in Lancaster to see if we could get any information or perhaps someone from the county office to appear on Human Events Daily. So we're going to be working with them. We're working with local sources on the ground to try to find out exactly what the truth of what's going on here. But Steve, remember, this is the same thing they did to Amos Miller. This is the same thing they do to the Amish every single time. You've got Josh Shapiro, who's scapegoating a traditional Christian group of people and using the death of an infant to try to further his political career. And I'll tell you something else. This isn't the first time that Josh Shapiro has lied about a death in Pennsylvania.
Jack, look forward to seeing you too. And we'll be following you on social media. Thank you for changing your schedule to come on today. Very big story out of the Commonwealth. Wow. Philadelphia Inquirer said, no GOTS when it comes to measles deaths. So the governor's got a lot of explaining to do. 845 War Room, Chapter, a data company that can help you think through all of your options, which are quite confusing when it comes to Medicare. Chapter, 845 War Room is your direct hotline. They've saved over $1 million for the Warren posse so far.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
Liz Churchill, we're going to put up some of her Twitter feed. She's calling it the measles scam the great measles scam in Pennsylvania. And Bobby Kennedy is pushing back on that hard. Jack, so at 2 o'clock after Charlie Kirk show, the Human Events Daily is going to cover this in depth. Make sure you got it at 2 o'clock to watch Jack. Mike Howell, the firestorm that's raging now, as we're getting the midterms in focus, people realize a great motivational factor here would be, hey, if we got mass deportations done, there's so much going on. They're kind of like, are they really reporting correctly? We're getting some wins at the Supreme Court. Just you're our field commander here on all things mass deportations. Just take your time and walk us through what is actually really going on, and what do we need to even nudge the administration for more effort, sir?
Well, unfortunately, mass deportations just aren't happening. We're kind of lower than Obama era if you take into account the proportional rate of deportation against the total illegal population, because obviously there are a lot more illegals here now than there were under Obama, thanks to our friend Joe Biden. Data is not being reported at all. It's been shut off. Instead, you have kind of these curated leaks to media, and it's unfortunate. That's why we're suing DHS for the accurate data, because I know what it is, and it's not the numbers that are out there, because the term deportation is being redefined in real time. And there's an influencer op right now of a lot of accounts pushing the fake numbers and doing streams and posts about it, all of the sort. And I mean, just, I say this with no joy, but the White House put out an infographic, a couple days ago, and they have the deportation numbers, right? But they cite to ABC News. And you're like, why are they citing to ABC News? They know the numbers. And that's because, the media narrative is being shaped indirectly by kind of misleading reports and so forth. And so we hope they release the numbers because the numbers need to go up. And I'll tell you why it's so critically important, because the amnesty lobby is gearing up. Right now in Congress, the amnesty lobby is threatening a discharge petition on a Dreamer bill. Republicans. And when they do that, and when Democrats, shut down DHS and they win the midterms, they're going to want amnesty to reopen it. And they're going to say the same thing that Obama did, is where he was the deporter in chief. He's going to say, the president deported so many illegals. Now is the time to make a deal. And we can't let that happen. We just need to do the simplest thing in politics. That is to do what was promised.
I want to go back. DHS is kind of cut off actually putting out formal numbers, and that's why you're actually suing. What are you suing them for specifically?
Yeah, they're 8 discrete targeted requests for the data, not the press release braggadocious claims, the data that ICE keeps and decided at the beginning of this administration for the first time in, I think, decades, not to release with regularity. And so DHS could produce that data in a second. Instead, they're choosing to kind of shape media narratives that confuse reporters about what is a deportation and not, to get kind of these, jazzy puff pieces out there that then influencers pick up and spread like it's, accurate information. And so it's misleading the base, but the base isn't being misled actually, because they know the numbers are actually low. And so I think it serves no functional purpose whatsoever. It's just destroying trust kind of in the commitment to the agenda. And I'm suing to get those numbers out so we can get ahead of the amnesty lobby and actually start pushing for the deportation agenda to begin. And that means worksite enforcement. This isn't rocket science, Steve. They're at the sanctuary farms, factories, hospitality zones, things like that the donors do not want ICE to go to. And so it's about money. Getting into the Republican Party for cheap slop ads for people like Darlene Graham. That's the name of the game in politics. And the voters are onto it, I think. And it's going to be a problem for midterms unless we right this ship pretty quickly.
Talk about this amnesty lobby. Explain to the audience once again, what's a discharge petition? Why is this so dangerous? And this always lurks right beneath the surface in the Republican Party. In the Chamber of Commerce, your money is green, Republican Party, sir.
Right. So people should know the Republican Party is worse than it was during Biden. And here's why. During Biden, the Republican Congress passed H.R. 2, the Secure the Border bill that would close the loopholes that Biden was taking advantage of. They're trying to pass a watered-down version of that right now, but there are enough Republicans that want amnesty instead. And so they're telling leadership that if you move this border bill so President AOC can't do what Biden did, then, these amnesty Republicans will use a procedural tactic which guarantees a bill being considered for amnesty. So they'll bypass the speaker, join with the Democrats, and put amnesty on the floor, and they'll probably pass the House that way. And so the amnesty lobby has held, Speaker Johnson and conservatives in the House hostage by this. And then also, the administration is dealing with this pressure too, because they are not focusing on worksite enforcement, which is necessary for mass deportation, because the people who pay for the slop ads on televisions and all the text messages you get, they're the ones who employ those illegals, and they don't want their workforce deported. And so we're stuck in this space where deportations are low, and there's a paid information campaign with influencers and such that isn't convincing anyone to say the numbers are high. And it's my contention that the base voter knows this, and we need to activate that base voter, or else we're going to get blown out in midterms, because that's what midterms come down to, base excitement.
No, and this is what the lower propensity voters, what they respond to is, hey, mass deportations. This is what they were promised. This is what they've got to get. Mike, I want to make sure people immerse themselves over the next couple of days in all the information you guys are putting out. Where do they go? And then what is your Twitter feed? What's the coordinates on your Twitter feed?
Yeah, go to massdeportation.com. We made it easy for y'all. There's a playbook there that lays it all out. And then the X feed for the Mass Deportation Coalition is at Phase 2 Deport, number 2. And I'm at Howell Tweets, and my group, the Oversight Project, is at It's Your Gov, and we are suing to get you the numbers you deserve. They're your numbers. It's your government, and I don't care who's in charge. You should be told the truth.
Mike Howell, fight on. Great. Look forward to having you back on. Make sure you go find out everything about the suit, everything about what we need to know for the DHS numbers. This is absolutely critical. I think we got 70 days, or was it 69 and a wake up right now, to for the midterms. This is the type of thing that draws low propensity voters out. Okay. Financial turbulence. What do you look for? What does mankind look for in 3,000 years? That would be physical gold. Find out why now is an opportune time to learn all about this, about fiat currency, about the dollar as the backbone of the post-World War II Bretton Woods financial system. Why the BRICS nations that are coming together in September, before Xi has his visits here, are out to destroy the United States dollar and what it means for you. End of the dollar empire. 8 free installments. A 9th one's coming. Go to birchgold.com/Bannon. Get it today. And Philip Patrick's going to be on later the next hour. Short commercial break. Dolly Parton takes us out. We'll be back in just a moment.